Okay, so doing this video because basically I was for the first time I was pretty scared of the flu. Um, I've had the flu on and off, obviously through time and that type of thing, and it's like whatever. And I used to be all about the flu shot, and then I stopped doing it because I'm like, okay. There was times when I would get the flu shot and still get the flu. And people say, oh, there's benefits because it lessens the time for the flu, et cetera, right? This isn't a video talking about, the benefits of or not doing the flu shot, right? If I'm gonna be out of breath in this because I'll tell you kind of what happened. So, um, middle of last week, I started getting a sharp pain in the middle of my stomach. That pain lasted for several days. And so I'm thinking, oh man, this must be my gallbladder acting up. And it was not a pain that was unbearable, but it was a pain that was noticeable. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like the pain that I had with the gallbladder attack or the gallstone attack was a 10. This was probably like a 2, 2.5. So it was noticeable. And so whatever. But I noticed that pain just didn't it didn't respond the way a gallstone pain is, where you feel it and it goes down. You feel it's not the wave. But my back started to ache a little bit too, and I'm like, okay, this could be what this is. Well, then, so that was probably around like Wednesday or so. It goes. The pain is still there, but it is starting to dull a little bit. Then Saturday day, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, good. The pain is dull. Everything's all good. Saturday evening, I told Noelle I'm hot. She came back from the studio and I said, I'm really hot. Do I have a fever? And she's like, yeah, I think you do. And so I went and got the thermometer and yeah, I had a fever. It was 99 point something. It was a low grade fever. So I was like, okay, whatever. Well, later that night, it kept getting worse. Like the temperature kept getting worse. And so it would just steadily climb. So it got to 101. I'm like, okay. But then I got to thinking maybe the pain, excuse me, and the fever are connected because if there's an infection where the gallbladder is, then that obviously will create a fever. So I'm sitting here panicking, thinking that it is an infection of the gallbladder. And so the question is, what do I do? Do I go to the hospital, emergency room? What do I do? Of course, if it's not that, then, it's this huge bill. But it wasn't giving me the reason why I didn't go is because I wasn't getting the typical gallstone feelings, symptoms, that type of thing. I wasn't getting that. When they tell you to look at, your bodily functions and all that type of stuff. None of that added up. Everything was fine and normal. And then when the flu I never thought of. And so I'm thinking this must be an infection. Well, the pain literally goes away, right? So by Sunday morning, there's no pain. It's just sore where, my stomach was. And I'm coughing a little bit, and I have been coughing. My nose has been running a little bit, but I'm thinking that's allergies. So Sunday, I'm sitting on a fever of 101 all the way up to 101.8.9. That night, it gets up to 102 and it keeps climbing, right? So at this point, I'm feeling miserable. And keep in mind, I have cholinergic urticaria. And I have videos talking about this. It's when you get too hot, whether it's due to the sun or the environment, you start to itch. It feels like a million mosquito stings, typically on my back. Well, I was so hot that every inch of my body felt like mosquito stings, every inch. And my eyes felt heavy. It was just it was crazy. So then I'm thinking, okay, maybe this will pass, right? Because I would take medicine and it would respond to it. It would knock the fever down and I'd be normal. And then I started to call a friend of mine who's a nurse, and then I called and talked to a friend of hers that's a nurse, and I talked to my sister who works in the medical field, and they were thinking it could be an infection, and to go to a gallbladder specialist and have them root that out and take a look. Because if you go to the emergency room, all they're going to do is maybe give you some antibiotics, maybe. And unless it's a dire emergency, they're not going to do any sort of surgery, right? And so, and probably they wouldn't do a surgery if there is an infection like that. They would want to get the infection taken care of and then the surgery thing. And so they were thinking that, probably wait until in the morning to see what's up. Monday morning. Okay, so Sunday night, going into Monday morning, I'm at 103. And I remember my eyes feeling like they were rolling around, like I had my eyes closed and they were rolling around. That's what it felt like. It was tragic. Well, Noelle started to read more about the flu symptoms versus, because you read the generic things about flus and it tells you kind of what is there. But then she started reading about some stuff, and I'm like, like my nose is not really congested. I'm coughing a little bit. I'm not really sneezing. There's no sore throat. There's none of that, right? But she was reading through some other stuff, and she was like, if it is an infection because of the gallstones, all of these other things would have checked out, and none of them checked out. None of them made sense. The only thing that made sense was a fever. And a fever could be either one. So I don't have a general practitioner here. I don't have a doctor here. I never sat one up, so I fixed that today. Today is Tuesday. And I go see them soon, this week. I feel a whole lot better, obviously. So I'm fine now, better. So I started to get obsessed because then I was worried about sepsis. I was worried about a lot of other stuff. Had 2 thermometers I was using, alternating. Every 5 minutes or so, I was checking my temperature because I was that concerned. And finally, this morning, Noelle woke me up because she was about to leave. And she's like, "You're really hot." And so again, checked 103. But at this point, we've already kind of figured out it's the flu based on everything. And so she's talking about this and that. And I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. There's more things checking off in the flu category. And then when you look back at the history of what has been going on, Noelle was sick. Remember I told you guys she was sick. She had pneumonia. The girls have been sick. Zoe never gets sick. And she was home from school one day. Actually, just last week. She was sick. The thing is, Zoe can catch the worst illness, sleep on it, and wake up perfectly fine the next day. And that's what happened. She was sick. And then she was able to literally go to school the next day. She's perfectly fine. So all of that. And I was the one that basically went through and washed all the clothes and washed everything and probably came in contact with it, obviously. And it just took a while. The reason why I was thinking it was an infection was because the signs of the flu took a while to show up, right? It took the flu symptoms that she was checking off took a while to show up. And so now I know that it is the flu. Now, I'm still going to have to go and get the gallstones or the gallbladder removed. I've already made that. That's going to happen, right? Hopefully this year. I go for a consultation this week. And so they're going to set it up so I can get that out of the way. Your gallbladder is a simple thing. It's a simple procedure. But if you don't fix it when there's problems, it leads to a whole bunch of other crap that becomes a big issue. So I want to make sure I get that taken care of. I still have a slight fever now. It's without taking any medicine. And I noticed yesterday, the middle of the day, I would not take medicine and my fever would regulate itself and I would be like at 101, 100, that range. Today, it's like 98.7, which is normal, 99, that range, maybe 100, but it doesn't stay there long. So that's how it is right now. And I noticed a huge difference. Now, obviously at nighttime, you're going to probably get much hotter when you have a fever or something like that. But it was going on for a little bit too long. After 3, 4 days, it's a problem. So when you count up the time, Saturday up until today, it's 3 days exactly. So I was a little bit concerned. Didn't go to the studio today because obviously I didn't want to infect anybody. We'll go tomorrow. Definitely keep my distance from people. But it was a bit scary. Now, will I get the flu shot in the future? I don't know. Um, I don't know if the flu shot would have made a difference in this. There are people who probably say that it would have. I don't know. But it's not like a flu I've ever had before, to be honest with you. It really and truly had me scared. There were times when I was really, really, I'd never have been this scared, except for one time. And I was a much younger guy. And I knew it was the flu, and I was not scared of like dying. I was scared of missing work, right? I was scared about that. This was the one time I was afraid of dying because I thought it was a major infection. And when you're basically, the only thing that you can do, and the only time the emergency room will do something, is when it is almost too late. And so, other than that, they're not, and you're left with a huge, humongous bill, which is what I got last time. So, yeah, I mean, to me, I'm getting this thing out. So hopefully I don't have to worry about it again. I'm still going to eat the same way that I have been eating, which I've cut out a lot of stuff. So I've been doing that. There's still some things I love, but I haven't eaten beef and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm getting that taken care of. I'm slowly on the mends. Been taking a lot of medicines to kind of keep everything regulated. Today I haven't taken a lot of anything because I just want to try to just let my body naturally deal with everything. I did, however, allow the flu to rampage yesterday. So for several hours, I just didn't take any medicine and just said, whatever happens, happens. My fever wasn't super high. I mean, it was still obviously a fever, but it wasn't like 102. So I let it kind of do its thing for a few hours, and then towards the nighttime, start taking medicine. Tonight, I'll take some medicine also, just because I know that obviously it's going to be a problem. But yeah, tell me your stories about your flu problems. I've never had flu like this. I never want to have it again, to be honest with you. I used to laugh when people say, oh, well, you get really bad off with the flu. And I had a doctor tell me once, like, you need the flu shot. I've seen people come in here shaking. And I said, nah, I'm good. When I went to the bathroom one night, I had a fever that was so bad, my teeth were chattering because I felt so cold. So yeah, it was scary, but knock on wood, everything's good right now. Some people will say that's crazy. Why'd you leave it that long? It takes a while. Here, there's a lack of doctors. To be honest with you, there is a lack of doctors. There are some people where if you try to get a general practitioner, you'll be waiting for several months if you're a new patient just to be seen. It's crazy. Anyhow, I hope you like this video. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I will see you. Take care.